Hey guys, I'm back for the second example. So let's go ahead and go through this. So now the last example we have for today is according to American Veterinarian Medical Association in 2012, American households own 2.1 cats on average. A random sample of 15 households were selected from a veterinarian clinic in a small town. The number of cats in each household were recorded and stated below. So they want to know, does this provide evidence that households in this town own fewer cats than the American average? So first thing we need to do is write our hypotheses. So our null hypothesis, what we assume to be true. So I have mu equals, since they said on average the American households own 2.1 cats, that's what we're going to assume to be true for every town. But our alternative is that in this town they own fewer cats than the American average, so less than 2.1. Okay, to do our calculations this time, we don't have stats like we did up here, right? We had 100 brides, mean of 27.5, standard deviation of 5.6. Now we have the actual data in these 15 households. So the first thing I'm going to do is type in my data. So I'm going to go to stat edit. So you should definitely know how to type in data at this point in your statistics career. So I'm going to type in each data value. Okay, and it never hurts to go back and check 30 seconds or whatever it takes to check to make sure that you typed in everything correctly, because if just one data value is typed in correctly, you're going to get different calculations, therefore you're going to get the problem wrong. So now when I go to stat and then arrow over to test and then go to number 2 for t-test, this time I have data, right? On the previous problem we were on stats and we typed in our stats. This time we want data. So you are still going to put in your hypothesized value, which is 2.1. You don't have to change your list or frequency. This we want our alternative to be less than the hypothesized value. And then once again, on the first example I showed you, you could draw, but if you hit calculate, it definitely goes way faster. This is just assuming you know how to shade. So let's show you what I'm talking about. So I found that my t-test statistic is negative 1.599. And that my p-value is 0.071 or 0.070, whatever you want to call it. So if they did ask me on your quiz or your test to shade the curve, so we have our normal curve here, you would go to a t-value of negative 1.559. And since I want less than, we're going to shade to the left. With the one tail test shaded to the left because it's less than. Okay, so now we need to write our conclusion. So once again, your conclusion is always 2 sentences. The first thing you need to do is compare the p-value to alpha and whether you reject or fail to reject the null hypothesis. So since the p-value, in this case, 0.07 is greater than alpha. Remember that alpha is 0.05. 0.07 is greater than that. So we're going to fail to reject the null hypothesis, which once again, you don't have to state this in your sentence, but that means it's not statistically significant. Okay, we did not get enough evidence. So we're going to say that in our second sentence. We have insufficient evidence. So we have insufficient evidence that households in this town own fewer cats than the American average. And remember, by saying this, we're not saying that this town has exactly 2.1 cats. We're just saying that there's not enough evidence to say they have fewer than 2.1 cats. So that is your lesson. So we are going to practice this a couple times in your homework. So we're going to talk about your homework now, just so you know what is expected of you, because there will be short answer on your quiz and test. So flipping to page 10, you have 3 problems in your homework. So let's see. On page 10, numbers 1 through 3. But notice how you have to write hypotheses. You have to find your calculations and your conclusion. But your conclusion is going to be counted as 2 times because the conclusion each time, here, I'll write it up here. So conclusion must have 2 sentences. Okay, hypotheses, null and alternative, calculation, t, and p-value. And then notice you have curves. Okay, it's a good idea to probably practice shading those in because on your quiz or test, we could definitely ask you to label your t score on that and then shade accurately. So that is that. Mrs. Wilkes will show you the answers to this tomorrow after checking your homework, so that way you can see how you're doing so far. I would try to get started in class if I were you, because if you don't have a calculator at home, it's kind of hard to do this stuff without a calculator. All right, I hope you guys have a good day and everything is going well. And there I am again. So see you guys next time. Bye.